After sharing this bar model strategy, I was asked to share a little bit more about how the full lesson would play out. So I'm going to do that in this video. This is for total math and it's for K1 and 2, but this is going to be a first grade lesson. Let's take a look at a total math lesson plan. There's a digital warm-up, a number fluency slide, the teaching slides, strategies, vocabulary, and then materials. This is whole group, small group. And page 2 is the math workshop. So there's 4 aligned stations and then a reflection slide. So I'm going to show you all of that as quickly as I can. To begin, we have a math warm-up. And it's a digital file, but I printed because it would be a lot easier to just show you and talk about it this way. So as you can see, it's just an open-ended math discussion prompt, these warm-ups, and you can see here that it's leading students to make some connections. And the thing about a warm-up is it's truly about having a conversation. Students do not need to know that they are correct in order to add to the conversation. The day before, I wanted you to see that these build. It's not just one and done, but these lessons all build. So the day before, they're seeing a similar thing, but they're looking at it as a number bond. So that would make a lot of connections for this. And then tomorrow's warm-up, because we are talking about inverse and we're switching from addition to subtraction, you're going to see how this continues to unfold. So I just wanted you to have that full perspective there. If we go to the lesson plan, the next thing is our frog, squat, and hop. So this is our number fluency. Again, this would be a slide. The number fluency slides are all different. So this image would be something different tomorrow with a different title and then a different skip counting rule. It's going to stay within the standards for first grade, and so it's just gonna, every single day there's gonna be something new, a new way to count, practice, and solidify our skip counting. So the frog, squat, and hop, it's gonna give you, the teacher, the directions here to lead them through that. Next in our lesson plan, I'm going to jump to our strategies. So we use a focus wall and it has vocabulary and strategies. So on the strategy side, I've got up a couple from previous lessons so it can stay current. But yesterday's lesson was about bar models, and then we move into, number bonds. So I put bar model underneath because of how similar and related those are. Same thing here. We had number bond and related facts yesterday, and so I have inverse operation up here because we're also going to be using the names of these parts of a subtraction problem, and I thought that would be an easy thing for our eyes to look at. So that's why I've placed them up. It doesn't matter the order, it's just how I chose to do it. I have inverse and bar model here for our vocabulary, and then I also chose to have the related words there that we would pull from previous lessons. The objective for our lesson today is that students will determine the unknown number in an addition or subtraction bar model. So I'm going to play a snippet of the big bar model lesson that we would do on the rug. You do not have to do the life-size bar model. You can certainly follow this lesson plan as well, but I do want to show just a snippet of what that looked like yesterday, and then I will bring you to the teaching slides. If you're not familiar with a bar model, what is significant about a bar model is that the bars move. A bar model is simply a way to problem solve, but it also compares the sets that you're joining and separating by size, and that's what's significant here. All right, so we're going to be doing combinations of 10. I have divided the bar model into the whole and then the part. Now I'm going to be adding a movable bar to show where the parts are on the bottom. So I'm going to keep it simple to begin, and we're going to put one close to the middle, if not the middle. And what we're going to do is talk about the whole and the parts to bring the understanding from the number bond to the bar model, right? This is a 10. And if I have a line right down the middle, that's going to give me two equal groups, or we could call that a double. Do we know a doubles fact that equals 10? So we can count out 1, 1, and so on. Or students might know, hopefully, that they could put 5 on one side and 5 on the other side, and that's going to give me my two equal parts that add up to 10, or that join to 10. So we could count that out and we can move them back up, right? It's not important that we stay in a 10 frame because that's not really what a bar model is about. And eventually we'll be writing the numbers. All right, so what if I want to have 2 as one of my parts? How many would I need to be equal to 10, to have 10 as my whole? So we could count it out and bring them down, and we could see that we would need 8 to be that other part. Another thing we're going to draw attention to is how much bigger the 8 part is than the 2. Students are going to be able to compare those sets and see how that still equals the same 10 when I bring it all together. When we use our teaching slides, it will show these strategies for the lesson. They're already embedded for you, so you're not trying to direct students away from the screen to show them that. We just figured it was easiest to have them there for you. So we can review inverse operation and bar model, and then we begin our lesson. So for our lesson, we're doing a smoothie bar, and the fruit is movable. We talk about how we know 2 parts, a 5 and a 3, and the unknown is going to be the sum or the whole for these parts. So we can begin by dragging 5 cherries, having the students come up and drag whatever your comfort level is, and then we can type that 5 in there, and then we can continue that with putting in our 3 bananas and typing our 3. We can count up the 5 cherries and the 3 bananas, and we can determine that there are 8. Then we're going to do the inverse. So the inverse means I'm going to begin with the sum of the addition and make that my minuend for my subtraction problem. Minuend is just the first number in a subtraction problem. Next, I can choose either part to use for that second number. So 3, and then I have how many left. I can count those and get my 5. Students are going to progress through different versions of this. Notice that the unknown is moving. So students get to practice all of those different areas where they can find the unknown, and also how that looks in the equations. All right, so at the teacher-led learning table, we are going to be moving into this portion of our lesson plan. It's called Deepen Mathematical Understanding. It's going to give you your teacher-led learning lesson and then the scaffolding and differentiation. I'm just going to go ahead and show you it here on the table. All right, we're going to be using this color one, and what I would do is model it first. So students are going to be looking for an unknown and then what they do know to build and create that same thing that we did in our teaching slides. As you can see here, this is a lot like a strip diagram where we will be drawing in the part, the line, based on the numbers that we are given. You obviously can just use counters. You don't have to be so extra, but you know, I'm gonna be me and I'm extra, so I'm using some fruit manipulatives. So we're gonna build our 2 numbers. We're gonna be writing those numbers down. So on my card, I counted out 2 banana parts and 6 parts of strawberry. If I'm going to put that into my parts on the bar model, I am going to allow 2 and then 6. If I count that all up, I determine that my unknown sum is 8. So I can write that in here. And now I'm going to take that 8 and do the inverse. So my sum becomes my minuend, and I'm going to put that as my first number. And then I'm going to subtract 1 part. I can choose whichever part I want to subtract. I'm going to go ahead and take away those 2 bananas and count up what I have left, and that is 6 strawberries. So once you've modeled it and students have shown understanding, then they would each get their own smoothie bar mat and have access to the cards and the counters, and that would continue on. You would facilitate them as they went through on their own mat. Differentiate, you may just stick to using the top and the smoothie if they're not quite ready for all of that equation writing. Also, for students who are way above these number levels for adding and subtracting, you can also put in whatever number range you want. They can also, if they are able to crunch those numbers and do not need or want the assistance of the counters, if that's actually slowing them down from making mental connections with those computations, then we would allow them to do that without the use of the counters and just with the numbers only. So you can scaffold that as high or low as you like, and that is our teacher-led learning. So we've completed really the main meat of the lesson. While we're doing this teacher-led learning with different groups though, the smoothie bar that I just showed you, the rest of the class is doing their math workshop. So we have 4 aligned stations that you can choose from, however many stations you want to put out and whichever choices you want to make. And then we have our reflection. So I'm going to show you these stations next, and then we'll take a look at the reflection. The first station we're going to look at is hands-on math, and this one is called bar model puzzles. So I have mine in this box, and I put it on top to make it easy, knowing I was going to have just one hand to work with here. It's a little easier. Okay, the first way is that students can take these different ones that are only missing 1 part, similar to what they've been doing. They can use counters or whatever means they want, but they're going to be making the puzzle with that 1 missing number. And then I have a whole series where I just cut the other side off just to give them that practice. And then we also have a version where the students will match the top and the bottom. So they would match this top to the 2 parts. For technology, let's go take a look at that. For our technology game, we're going to open the technology links document, and we're going to scroll down to the lessons. We are in lesson 13 here, where it says ice cream bar. So we're going to click that link, and it's going to open automatically for us in Google Slides. We're going to make a copy and assign it to students. So in this lesson, students are going to be figuring out the unknown number for the ice cream bar. It says count and move the scoops to solve, type the related facts. Again with the 5 and the 3, because we like to warm them up and make them feel comfortable. Oh, you know what? I'm not paying attention to my flavor. Oops. So let's try that again. I'm going to put 5 vanilla scoops on the cone. 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put 3 strawberry scoops. This is getting really exciting. And then I can count those up, and I determine that my missing number is 8. Then it just shows me, so what's missing here? blank minus 5 equals 3. So the student will put the 8 again, and then they will check their work to see if their thinking was correct. I'm going to just show you how it progresses through different number situations and different unknowns, and there are always 11 slides per game. Our application station is called Reach the Bar. So I'm going to pull that out of my printables. This is our independent practice portion of the math block. If you don't want to do all 4 of these stations in a day, or that's impossible, then this can be, a lot of teachers like to use this as homework. The final station is called Math Detectives, and I put a little pencil there to keep my spot. I have a teacher sample journal, so I can quickly introduce this without answers in it and show under the document camera. Makes it a lot easier. So students are going to cut out and glue in their Math Detectives activity, and then they're going to write the unknown number under the flap. And you can even have them write the 2 related facts if you want. It's up to you and how the pacing is for your students. So that's that one. And there's 1 for each day. So that's all kept in their learning log. Finally, we have reached our reflection, and I printed it out, even though it is a digital slide that I would normally just project, and we have that discussion to close out the lesson. This one is share about related facts in your own words. So students, again, it's just an open-ended discussion to guide students into synthesizing the learning, so that they can talk about bar models, they can talk about inverse, they can talk about any connection to that prompt that they want to. And then that is truly the end. I hope you loved this total math lesson and that you found it useful. Again, you do not have to carry out everything, every part of that. That's quite a bit to cover in one math block. So we provided all of it because we talk about all of it in our workshops. However, you certainly can just take on one portion at a time and incorporate it into any curriculum that's going to enhance it for your students and make it just so impactful for their learning. So thanks for hanging out with me for this long video.